Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee here on this Tuesday, and it's a very chilly Tuesday, what with the storm that's sitting just east of Newfoundland, and we've got high pressure over the Great Lakes, and you can see the isobars are very, very tight, so we're still getting some gusty breezes from the northwest, and temperatures are in the 40s to around 50 at the moment going into the midday hour, which for this time of year is actually, quite cool. And we have low pressure that's organizing back over toward western South Dakota and extends down into Kansas, and this will be moving east over the next next 48 hours. And we're going to have a cold night tonight as this high begins to push into New England, and the low to the northeast starts to slowly begin to pull away. So that's going to set us up for freezes for much of New Jersey, south central, southeastern Pennsylvania, up into northeastern Pennsylvania, up into the Hudson Valley, most of central and southern Connecticut. It'll probably not fall below freezing for most coastal areas, although I think there might be a few pockets on Long Island and coastal New Jersey. You'll get down to about 32. Areas that have already had their freeze, they don't have freeze warnings up because the growing season is over. So we're going to look at the NAM model today and take a look at what it does, and we'll take it through Wednesday. You can start to see that precipitation is moving eastward and then moves up into the cold air, and you start to get a little stripe of snow on the leading edge of it with the high building down the Hudson Valley. Now, sometimes in situations like this, depending on the wind, you could wind up with low-level temperatures that are a little colder than what the models show. That happens quite a bit in the wintertime, especially during the overnight hours. And I think as far as seeing some snow at the start on Thursday morning, it's going to depend on precipitation rushing in a hurry. The track of this low on the NAM is a little further north than the other models, so it arcs the precip a little further north. So I'm thinking the best chances of this happening will be north and west of Route 84 from northeastern Pennsylvania, possibly into northwestern New Jersey and the Hudson Valley, and in through areas of southern Vermont, western Massachusetts, and in through Connecticut. Now, the NAM, being the warmest model, is going to produce less snow than the others. The low, not really all that strong. Tracks up into western New York, Lake Ontario, and moves on into upstate New York. Now, we don't have the new GFS, but we can look at the prior GFS run and show you that it's a little different with this model. It's a little further south with the track of the low as it takes it south of Chicago and into northwestern Ohio. So this probably brings into play maybe a little bit more cold air into this area. So we'll have to watch to see how this plays. Honestly, this is just really, there's some snow at the start. Snow lovers will get a thrill because they'll see some wet snowflakes and some ice pellets, and then it goes over to rain. Now, you go further north into the Hudson Valley, you start to get up, north of Kingston and head up toward Albany, and also through southern Vermont, western Massachusetts. There probably will be a coating to a slushy couple of inches out of this because of the fact that it is going to be colder up there for a longer period of time, and elevation is going to come into play as well. The low winds up going across New York State, gradually just redevelops in the Gulf of Maine, and then moves on out. I'll show you the snowfall forecast maps for the GFS, and we'll take a look at that. And this is the more robust of all the models in terms of snowfall forecast. And my experience with this, with these snowfall maps, is oftentimes you can take what they show and cut them in half, especially in cases like this where you have warm air overrunning cold air. Sometimes when you have situations like we had this weekend where you're dealing with a strong upper air feature, the numbers may be a little bit more in the line. Now, it is producing some 6-inch plus amounts once you go north of I-90 into upstate New York, and actually has some 2 to 4 inch amounts as far south as Route 84, and a little pocket, believe it or not, of 5 inches in northeastern Pennsylvania. I don't know if I want to believe that. A lot's going to depend on the track of the low. I mean, if it tracks further south like the GFS, then in elevated areas, I suppose it's possible that you could get maybe a coating to a couple of inches. I don't. I find it a little difficult to see how it would be more than that. But I want to caution that these first events of a young winter season sometimes can be very, very tricky, and it's kind of like driving in snow for the first time. You sort of forget how. So especially you live in areas that don't get a whole lot of snow. Same happens with forecasts. You're still trying to figure out how models are adjusting to all this. Now, I'm going to jump real quick to my friends up in the Canadian Maritimes because they are always asking me, and I want to, give them a little bit of a heads up. And yes, even the GFS has snow for Newfoundland on the order of a couple of inches to maybe upwards of 4, and even upwards of 6 in the northwestern part of Newfoundland, and more snow cover to be had, and additional snows for much of southeastern Canada over the next 4 or 5 days. And you can see some of the final amounts that are being shown up for parts of northwestern Maine and through upstate New York. Again, I'm not sure how real all this is. There's going to be another weather system coming through over the weekend that probably adds to these amounts. So we will see what the afternoon model runs have to tell us. Don't forget to take a look at meteorologistjoechaffee.com. And, of course, for local weather interests around the New York area, we have nycweathernow.com and weatherlongisland.com. And if you're interested in storm chasing, you go to snsstormchasers.com for all the latest on that, and also the latest on weather. They tend to focus more on south central Pennsylvania, in and around York, Pennsylvania, but they do have reaches out to Maryland and Delaware, and in areas in southeastern Pennsylvania on up further north. So check all those sites out and have a great Tuesday, and we will see what happens. I'll probably try to post a video tonight when all the nighttime model runs are in so we can update the situation.